when summit of this order is taking place in Anchorage in Alaska, there has to be some back channel and there has to be an outcome. This cannot be something which is without an outcome. Russia is a huge country with a legacy of a superpower. It knows how to behave like a superpower. It's not going to be easy, not going to be easy for President Trump. President Putin is going there. He's just walking into the show. And whatever he comes out of it, it's a winner. The American position, that is President Donald Trump, has a position where he wants to say that he is the one who actually stopped the war. So his minimalist position would be having some sort of a tactical ceasefire. For India, the larger question is this, that August 27 is going to be the tipping point of Indo-US relationship. How did the Americans allow somebody to talk about nuclear Armageddon and attacking a democratic, independent country? US main game is to play with Pakistan, use with Pakistan, and as long as it can use Pakistan, everything is game. Many of the arms trade strategists believe that India is now trying to get close to China. No, it is not.
There is a lot going on in the world of geopolitics. President Trump is all set to meet the Russian President Putin in Alaska. Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar is all set to visit Russia in the coming few days. Chinese Foreign Minister is all set to visit India to talk about these issues and its impact and the expected outcomes of some of these key meetings. I'm joined by Executive Editor, Hindustan Times, Shishir Gupta. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning. A lot is happening, sir. Let's start with what the world's eyes are set on, which is, of course, the meeting between the American President, Donald Trump, and the Russian President, Putin, set to take place in Alaska on 15th, which is tomorrow. We're recording on 14th. What will be on the agenda? Ukraine, of course, is likely to be the centerpiece. But in your opinion, given how mercurial Trump has been, is known to be, what do you think is going to be the likely outcome of this meeting?
See, with President Donald Trump, it is not very easy to predict. I mean, that is an understatement actually, to predict as to what is going to happen. But definitely when summit of this order is taking place in Anchorage in Alaska, there has to be some back channel and there has to be an outcome. This cannot be something which is without an outcome. Now, what has happened is that President Vladimir Putin has given his maximalist position. His maximalist position is that he occupies, and the world recognizes that he has taken over the eastern Ukraine part of it, right? Right from Luhansk all the way down to Crimea.
Right.
He is also asking that Ukraine publicly says that it will not be part of NATO. So that is his maximalist position. And the American position, that is President Donald Trump, has a position where he wants to say that he is the one who actually stopped the war. So his minimalist position would be having some sort of a tactical ceasefire, which is workable with everybody. So to say that nothing is going to happen in Alaska is not the right picture, because nobody gets together unless there is something, some objective has to be achieved. Now, there are a lot of problems in this. First of all, Ukraine cannot allow, that is, Vladimir Zelensky cannot allow an official stamp from US saying that it allows Russia all the eastern part of Ukraine.
Right.
Particularly when all the major cities in this area, that is Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Kherson, Crimea, are still with Ukraine, and Ukraine is still fighting in that area. So to say that, if I give all this away, then there is nothing else to fight. Then why am I fighting from the very first place itself, from February 24, 2022? So here the problem is that he has stated his maximalist position. President Donald Trump has to prove that he got President Putin to agree to something. So possibly you look at a tactical ceasefire in which the two sides, that is, backed with US, Europe, Zelensky, Putin, get together and sort of talk it later, right? But then what is important is that one of the biggest victor in this is actually President Putin.
Right.
After gaining all that, he's got a summit. Right? And it is the ball is now on President Trump to deliver. Can he deliver a ceasefire? He's talked about swapping of territory. I don't think so it's going to happen that easily. Right. So territories do not get swapped that easily. Right? He's talked about using a friend like India to put pressure on an enemy like Russia by putting secondary tariffs on India. So it's all a bit of a mess. But to say you cannot have a summit of this level unless there is a forward momentum. So conservatively, there will be a forward momentum. There could be a tactical ceasefire, but I don't see anything going beyond that.
Right. Quick follow-up before we start talking about some other issues. Walking into this meeting, Putin, as you were saying, has already won a small victory in the sense that Russia has been a social pariah, economic pariah. There have been sanctions which have been imposed on Russia. And now he is, of course, going to be in Alaska, getting a picture clicked with Donald Trump. His, members of his, government will be talking to the Trump government's members. And so the onus, the entire, weight of ensuring that there is an outcome is going to be on Trump. Something which has not been the case with Trump when he walks into meetings. I mean, he likes to exert pressure instead of, absorbing pressure.
See, here the problem is that even while they declared that they're going to meet in Anchorage, Alaska on 15th, the Russian offensive was on. It was on in Kherson, it was on in Sumy, it was on in all that area. So he was actually projecting that he's willing to talk. At the same time, things were happening different on the ground. He's been targeting the areas through air, through drones, through missiles. So nothing has stopped really. So to say that, President Trump has a leverage, you've had Russia under sanctions. Nothing has happened over there. So where is the leverage coming from? And remember one thing. For people, Russian who are at the age of 35 to 50, 60, 70, they have old memories. They have memories of America being the main enemy. It is not going to be easy. And Russia is a huge, huge country with a legacy of a superpower. It knows how to behave like a superpower. Okay? So it's not going to be easy, not going to be easy for President Trump. President Putin is going there. He's just walking into the show.
Yeah.
And whatever he comes out of it, it's a winner. Right. That's where it is.
Yeah. So even before the meeting starts. Having said that, another question. Zelensky has said that he would have wanted Europe to also participate. He, of course, would have wanted to be across the table. He does not want US to be negotiating on behalf of Ukrainians. So do you think whatever they decide on, will it be acceptable to the Ukrainians?
See, if at the end of the day...
And can Trump enforce it?
See, at the end of the day, if President Trump decides to recognize, which I don't think so is going to be the case, recognizes that the entire territory that he has seized and co-opted in his constitution is actually Russian territory, then there is no war. So that is not a possibility. And then what is Europe fighting for? It is going to be a huge defeat for Europe, it is going to be a huge defeat for Zelensky, and it is also going to be a huge defeat for President Trump. So that is not a workable solution. I mean, logically, these days geopolitics does not follow logic, but logically this does not happen that way. So you can have possibly like saying that, there wouldn't be some air battles, there will be a sort of ceasefire in the air. There could be something like that. But essentially what you're looking for is a temporary ceasefire at best.
So something symbolic.
Because the situation is such, the man has occupied a huge chunk of Ukraine territory. Ukraine also is very much up forward and is holding on to it. He's not been able to control anything, Russia. So it's more of a quagmire. That's where it is. Right. And everybody knows that this doesn't work this way. But there is a larger issue in this. There's a larger issue in this because if there is a ceasefire, if there is a tactical ceasefire, if the two sides decide to talk, then does President Trump withdraw that 25% tariff that he's imposed on India or is threatening to impose on India on August 27th. Will he withdraw that? That is the question. So for India, the larger question is this, that August 27 is going to be the tipping point of Indo-US relationship. Because if 25% tariff continues to hold, then that means we are hit by 50% tariff. That means our trade goes for a toss. That means the relationship goes into a deep dive. So this is the most important aspect as far as India is concerned. And things are not looking very good.
Another thing which India has been looking at, and of course has issued a statement on as well, and that is, what Asim Munir has been saying from the US soil. He was in the US, and during the send-off, which was organized for the CENTCOM Chief General Kurilla, he apparently was there, and then in a private gathering, which was, attended by Pakistani citizens, overseas citizens, he said a lot of things, including nuclear saber rattling. What do you make of it?
See, there are various sections have reported in various ways. The Ministry of External Affairs has also reacted to the reported statement made by YouTube channels, Pakistani media, and a whole lot of people on social media. I am told that we have asked the Trump administration to make it clear whether Field Marshal Asim Munir made statements to that effect. That is one, that he will bomb any new dam that India builds on Western rivers. Second thing, if anything happens in future, he will go for a nuclear war and take half the world down. These two are very, very significant statements. These two have a lot of impact on what it is. So we have asked the Americans very clearly at the highest level to confirm whether Field Marshal Asim Munir made this statement or not. And if he has made this statement, how did the Americans allow somebody to talk about nuclear Armageddon and attacking a democratic, independent country for putting in dams? Now, let me tell you further than this. With Pakistan, everything is smoke and mirrors. There is no such thing as a truth. So there is one YouTube channel which reports that these statements were made. The Pakistanis subsequently learned that this is going to be wrong for them, so they issued another statement and they circulated on the WhatsApp University. Yeah. That did not have those 2 points, right? Then, understanding in US is that he did not make a statement on the dams, but he did make a statement on the nuclear Armageddon. Right? The point is that he had a captive audience of some 100 people, Pakistanis. All their cell phones were kept outside. Yeah. This man made a statement, right? And then he talked to other people and so on and so forth, right? So it is for the Americans to come out whether he made the statement, and it is for the Pakistanis to come out if he didn't make the statement. Now, coming to Field Marshal Asim Munir. See, it's not very difficult to understand that the man can quite make this statement because he has to tell the Pakistanis that the ultimate guardian of Pakistan is the Pakistan army. First of all. Second thing, he looks to acquire political ambitions. He is looking towards to becoming a Field Marshal Administrator of Pakistan, what General Pervez Musharraf was. So he wants to acquire that a political halo. And for that, he has made a statement, and the only country which can give you credence in Pakistan is if you attack India. That is point 2. Point 3 is, his name is Hafiz Asim Munir. So he's a radicalized Muslim who hates Hindus, and it is quite typical for anybody in Pakistan to make a statement like this. All bombastic, nothing on ground, and making whatever it is. Last point that I want to make is, India is going to be commissioning the 3rd submarine, which is going to be equipped with ballistic missiles, INS Aridaman, later this year. the third SSBN, which means the Indian second strike capability will be humongous after that. I don't want to say anything beyond this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you're talking about nuclear wars, then that becomes important. Having said that, a quick question. It's clear what Asim Munir wants inside Pakistan and perhaps from the US and Middle Eastern countries. What does US want from Pakistan?
See, US has been a close friend of Pakistan army for a long time. Okay? This started way back, all the way back to Field Marshal Yahya Khan, 71 war, Nixon government. And the two, that is the Pentagon, the State Department, have always had close links with the Pakistani establishment because they know that the only power or the only person who holds political power in Pakistan is the Pakistan army, not the civilian government. So they have had this relationship. This relationship actually became very close after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and it continued to be so all throughout, right? They have had, Pakistan was made a major non-NATO ally in 2004, and India was not even told about it. Pakistan recently got IMF loan. So US has had a very close relationship, and this relationship is not at the apex level. This relationship is at the operational level. CENTCOM always had a very good relationship with Pakistan. So to say that US main game is to play with Pakistan, use with Pakistan, and as long as it can use Pakistan, everything is game.
Right. Okay. Now, two more key visits that we need to talk about. First one is, of course, India's foreign minister and his visit to Russia in the coming few days, weeks. If you can talk to us about the significance of this visit, because recently National Security Advisor was also in Russia.
See, people have tried to sort of really overinterpret things. Let me tell you what is happening. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was in Russia. The visit of External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar was also planned, and in the last point blank, we told that the visit is going to take place. Now, that visit is part of the ongoing dialogue that goes with Russia. Russia happens to be a comprehensive strategic partner of India, and that dialogue will continue to go. Second thing is the Chinese foreign minister, and who's also the special representative on boundary dialogue with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, will be in Delhi on Monday, that is on August 18. He'll not only be meeting Ajit Doval and do the boundary level talks, but also meet S. Jaishankar for bilateral dialogue. So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping met in Kazan on October 23, 2024, they decided to resume the bilateral ties. This is a step towards resumption of the bilateral ties after there is peace and tranquility restored on the line of actual control. So this is part of the same process. Now, many of us or many of the arms trade strategists believe that India is now trying to get close to China. No, it is not. This is part of a normal dialogue once the two sides decided to restore peace and tranquility on the border. This flows out of it.
So both these visits should be seen in that light.
The visits are important. Nobody is doubting that. But the visits are also part of a process towards normalization. And President Putin, President Xi Jinping, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are meeting for the SCO summit in Tenchan on August 31st. So what is happening is that these are normal summits. This was planned summits. These are planned meetings. Nothing is happening where, suddenly something happened. No, it is not like that. So to say that India has gone too close to China or Russia or BRICS, it's not correct. India is doing what is best for its interests, and that is where it lies.
Right. Okay. And since we talked about, peace and tranquility on the India-China border, let's also talk about something which happened on India-Pakistan border, which was a bat action. What is Pakistan up to once again? I mean, just weeks after Operation Sindoor, at least the kinetic engagement came to an end, was put on pause. Operation Sindoor is still ongoing. Of course, Pakistan is taking these kind of actions.
See, if you expect Pakistan to stop cross-border terrorism in Kashmir, then you have to think again. Okay? This will not stop until unless the penalty is humongous. Second thing is, when the army chief, when the field marshal who's virtually running the country makes these bombastic hate speeches in US, everybody reads those speeches. So what he's doing actually is instigating the jihadists that, listen, I'm basically giving you a free hall pass. So now attack. So this is what has happened. And this will continue to happen till such time this man decides to control his tongue.
Right. And India, since the norm now is that in case of something like we saw in Pahalgam, we will have to respond as well. That is at least what the benchmark is now.
You see, we will respond where we want to respond at our time, at our place. We will not be run by Pakistan. That's how it is, or Pakistan or anybody.
On that note, thank you so much for talking to us, of course, about all of these issues. The geopolitics of the world at this point in time is in a bit of a churn. Yeah. But on that note, thank you so much.